further ado, we do have Chris connected properly already. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Hey, greetings, Richard. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to discussing this important issue, these important issues tonight.
Absolutely, and you're right there. You've already been active with regard to the constitutional militia, the Virginia branch sect of it, at least. So, I mean, yeah, you've already been active right there at what they're calling ground zero currently. But I understand you're a bit skeptical about what's playing out and about to potentially play out in Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot are concerned this could set the tone for all the other states in the future, set a precedent, and this could even either work for or against the people and our Second Amendment rights. But I mean, are you skeptical that it's not as we're being told?
Absolutely. It's never, nothing is ever as we're being told in the quote unquote mainstream or alternative media. And I'm in addition to being skeptical, I'm also cynical. And what I know about life on planet Earth, especially, well, not life on planet Earth, what I know about the law of the current government structure is that not only should one be skeptical, one can never be too cynical. So yeah, this whole militia thing is a setup by the cops. It's certainly not grassroots. And I'll just go back to how we got here from the beginning, and that was this latest sham rigged election here in Virginia. And let me preface this by saying all Republicans and all Democrats, all elected officials are guilty of treason. However, that being said, the election was rigged. Every Virginia election is rigged. Every election everywhere is rigged. But this one was so obvious. And instead of pointing this out and saying, hey, these results are illegitimate and our democracy is a sham, not only because the concept of democracy is a sham, but also because the people's vote doesn't count. So yeah, this is all a tactic to further the police state and to foment the Agenda 21. The Agenda 21, I guess. I'm trying to find the right word. The procession of Agenda 21, I guess, would be the best thing. This is just another step along the way, because we do have legitimate ideals of the militia here, especially in Virginia, but all across the country, because it's the basis of our law. But it's cops and government agents and Republican lobbyists who are forwarding this stuff, and that's okay, because what these guys are doing is LARPing. That there will be a crowd of thousands of armed Americans at the Virginia State Capitol on January 20th. God willing, I'll be there too. I mean, I have no reason to think that I won't be there. I always say God willing because it's, at the end of the day, certain things are in my hands and certain things are out of my hands. But yeah, I'm planning on being down there, God willing. I don't forsake anything stopping me from being down there, or I don't foresee, I should say, anything stopping me from being down there on January 20th. However, that's not the militia that's out there. The militia is mustered, so some of these individuals will be part of the militia. However, the militia can't be government agents. The militia is defined by George Mason as the entire body of the people, with the exception of few government officials. So that would be any cops or active duty military, or even many military veterans. because these guys have all committed treason, and it has nothing to do with the militia. The militia goes back to our European roots, and particularly our European common law, and that's what the militia is. So these guys are not it. Most of them are cops. I mean, I've had a bunch of folks contact me from the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and we don't have anything to do with any citizens, but these guys are cops, and they won't give their real names. They try to, you know, I guess get information to pass along to their leaders, but we won't give it to them. So yeah, it doesn't matter what any of these guys say. It only matters what the militia command structure says, and that's we the people of God, and we don't you don't get a membership just for being a white trash hillbilly from Western Virginia.
Indeed. It looks like we may have had Nicholas connect, get his system.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear you loud and clear. Let me introduce you. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, let me. I introduced Mr. Chris Dorsey, and now we also have Mr. Nicholas Landholm joining us. Now, Nicholas, who some libertarians call the militia guy, is a radio host. He's served in the U.S. Navy for 10 years. Nicholas has run for Congress in 2016 on the Libertarian Party of Texas ticket. Nicholas pays no income taxes and advocates for state militias to defend against tyranny. Nicholas, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, you are quite welcome, Richard. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to join yourself and Mr. Dorsey to talk about the militia and we could do to get rid of these antichrists that have been running the government for, well, I guess maybe since 1787, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just got through introducing Chris and asked his take on this rally that's coming up. There's going to be a rally on January 20th, 2020 in Virginia. And what Chris is suggesting, this may be painted in the form of, having government officials representing a quote-unquote state militia showing up there, perhaps to give the impression that the militia does not consist of every able-bodied man. I mean, everyone is supposed to be part of the militia, is what Chris explains. Is this how you see things as well, Nicholas?
I think so. I'm not I say that libertarians call me the militia guy, and that's because when I ran for Congress in 2016, first of all, I explained to them where I stood on positions because I'm definitely opposed to open borders. I'm definitely opposed to mothers murder, saying that their body is theirs and they want, if they want to murder their baby in their womb, that's fine. I'm opposed to the sodomites taking over, and we got a sodomite guy running for president who claims to be a Christian. So when I ran in 2016, I also ran on the fact that a well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state. And so I contend that no militia, no free state. So that didn't sit well with the fruits and nuts who run the Libertarian Party of Texas. And they sabotaged my efforts in 2018. Well, in 2020, I'm actually, if I could find a campaign manager, I will run for president on the Libertarian, or try to get the nomination. Not that I'm going to. I understand that. I won't. And even if I did win the Libertarian nomination, I wouldn't win presidency because as Mr. Dorsey says, everything's rigged. I've been involved in exposing computer vote fraud since 1990 with a gentleman in Cincinnati, Jim Condit Jr. So, I know that basically 3 companies count the vote in this country. And so, it was about 10 years ago that I read all the information from Dr. Evan Vieira on constitutional militia. And so that woke up my eyes. I used to think that if we just had verifiable vote count, then, we could get the bad guys out of office and elect constitutionalists and everything would be hunky-dory. But then, having stumbled upon, because I'm 64 now, I kind of started late in life as far as politics. My parents didn't educate me as to, what's going on. They just voted Republican, and that was about it. So it's in my 30s, while I was in the Navy, that I kind of started to become aware of what the hell was going on. And so 1990, I would have been 35. But now I'm 64, and so I don't care anymore. My children are grown, they can take care of my wife if something happens to me. If they try to threaten my family, I hope they're, in a state of grace, because, I'm not going to acquiesce to these antichrists because they're threatening the lives of my family. So, it's almost like we're every man for himself. But I actually have a plan. I've got a strategy using a federal law, and I've talked to you about this before, Richard. That I think we could create, we being Christians, and there are tons of fake Christians out there, mostly a lot of them being preachers. I think sincere practicing Christians who want to kind of remake or at least get some states creating a Christian state, Texas, New York, California, those places are pretty much gone. Chicago, Illinois. I'm also involved in a red state secession movement. But I think it comes down to Christians uniting into a state constitutional militia that is going to turn things around. And of course, it's going to take God first. Things are so bad that, it's, for me, my campaign thing, it might be campaign for truth, but it will involve God, guts, and guns, and kind of getting that message across to libertarians with a small L. And we can have a lot of fun. I know how to push the hot buttons of the capital L libertarians and the fruits and nuts who've basically taken over the party.
Well, that all sounds promising, sir. It looks like we have 3 callers who are already waiting patiently on the line here. And, sorry, looks like my volume just went down a bit. I don't know if you can still hear me just fine, gentlemen?
Yeah, you coming through loud and clear on my end.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. I don't know. That was maybe something on my end here. But I have 3 callers waiting patiently now. I'd like to perhaps, though, just hear each of your thoughts a little more on, well, the current situation we're in and what sort of precedent this sets. What you expect will go down in Virginia here. There. Went back up again. I don't know, the volume. But I shared a few different articles with each of you gentlemen earlier. You may have each read from some other sources. I mentioned this massive rally on January 20th in Virginia, and just how all the other states are potentially hanging in the balance as to what sort of precedent this could set. Some of these reviewers, analysts are going over some of the past that we've been through in this sort of situation. The Virginia National Guard has been sending out tweets which make it sound like they're on the side of the people. I mean, we have a quote saying that we understand and respect. This is from Virginia National Guard's Twitter. We understand and respect the passion people feel in the U.S. for the U.S. Constitution and Second Amendment rights. We will not speculate about the possible use of the Virginia National Guard. This was in response to multiple questions regarding proposed legislation for the 2020 General Assembly session and the authority of the Governor of Virginia to employ the Virginia National Guard in a law enforcement role. So, again, if I could hear from you, Chris, and then Nicholas's thoughts a bit as well on this a bit more before we take the callers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. It's so confusing to me as someone who has been operating under the natural law, which is explicitly written into Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 13, which is the Militia Clause, discussing that standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty, and that the people must have the control over the government in every sort of way. I mean, it's nothing new. I don't know why there's such a confluence of anger and I guess targeting of our God-given rights. Basically, things are about to fall apart, and this militia clause is so the people won't have any recourse. And so the angle that every individual with a functioning brain can figure that out. Anyone who knows American history, the basis of our English common law, the basis of the militia system, they can figure that out. And so what's going on here, in my opinion, and I believe I'm uniquely qualified to speak on this more than any other individual out there that I can think of, because I'm not just a member of the constitutional Virginia militia. I'm the commander, and I'm not just the commander by deed, but also by blood, meaning that my ancestors were the commanders of all militias, and that just going back to the last time there was an actual legitimate functioning Virginia militia, my fourth grade grandfather, Edward W. Dorsey, was a lieutenant in the Virginia militia. So I am uniquely positioned to speak on this subject, and what I'm saying now is that the individuals that are creating this media event, which is all that's going to happen there at on January 20th, it's run by these TV actors like Philip Van Cleve. You may have seen him get punked by a character played by Sacha Baron Cohen on his latest Showtime and BBC4 TV program, promoting that toddlers should be shooting guns, and that then he says, oh, he knew, he was just going along with it to make a mockery out of our God-given rights. But these guys in that are taking the leadership roles, they're mostly Trump supporters, and I can tell you Trump has done more to take away our Second Amendment rights than the treasonous Barry Soetoro, who was a gay prostitute. And so what I know about Trump is that he is a child rapist, and that he will do anything his Khazarian, quote-unquote, fake Jew synagogue of Satan masters tell him to do. So I don't pay any attention. You know, basically, they'll show up, the masses will show up, and they'll do anything that any individual with any authority tells them to do. They're clueless. The masses of the United States are clueless, even when they're smart enough to be able to show up with their guns. Now that's what they're really attempting to stop, is us, the people, we the people, showing up with guns and surrounding buildings, taking prisoners, abolishing the government. So we may, when January 20th comes around, everybody might think that they're there to lobby the government, but what it really is, if it's significant at all, is we're there to abolish the government. The government must be abolished, and that's the only solution. There's that, obviously, as Nicholas said earlier, the elections are all rigged, and I explained that years ago to Jim Condit, as a former precinct captain in the Democratic Party, that after he said, well, we need to take over the government on the precinct level. Now, Jim Condit has been saying for decades that the elections are rigged. So have I. But his solution is to keep voting. Voting means treason. If one votes, one is guilty of treason. That's it, because the government is guilty of treason, and that's how they get into office. Now, the only real action, political action, to be taken anywhere is to show up with guns. Not to lobby the government, but to send a message to our servants. Not to lobby the government, but to send a message to our servants. You have deadly force, we have deadly force. That's all politics is in a nutshell. And I really don't like to get distracted with anything else, because politics, all political will, comes at the barrel of a gun, and it's not just about our right to bear arms, it's about abolishing this government and taking control of all the deadly weapons of war. No other discussion is significant at all. And we are the people of God. The people of God, that means what? Those who are the founding stock of the United States. Where do we get that from? Well, these Khazarian imposters, the synagogue of Satan, those who say they are Jews but are not, they have taken our real identity and passed themselves off as the people of God. But it is the European people, and I'll say this, those who have been in this country with us for a long time, they have that claim too, because African Americans have between 25 and 35% European DNA, so therefore they too are the people of God. But the leadership of the people of God that comes from our blood, that is the only thing that really matters. And anyone else trying to lobby this government, trying to ask our servants what, to give us, back our God-given rights that they've taken away, it's a mockery and it's ludicrous. It's a damn joke.
Well, that's all very well said, Chris. I'd really like to try to get to some of these calls, but let me just hear from Nicholas again. Nicholas, anything you'd like to add or respond to any of those thoughts that Chris just shared with us?
I'd like to ask Chris, are you familiar with Daniel McGonigal up in Massachusetts, the militia?
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
You're not? Okay. Well, back around 2008, 2009, he heard Dr. Vieira. You're familiar with Dr. Vieira, I presume?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, he's right there in, I think he's in Front Royal, Virginia.
Okay.
We should get you two guys together.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyway, I was Daniel may be calling in. I've interviewed Daniel. I've got a talk radio show weekly, Fridays on Liberty Works Radio Network. I titled my show "Christian Revolt Long Overdue." And I'm trying to. I figure if we're lucky, maybe there's 5% out there out of 330 million, if that's an accurate number of the population that we get from the people who control the flow of information. That's about 15 million people. I'm trying to. This is what I would be doing with my with a presidential campaign. Is using a law that requires FCC licensed stations to take the advertising of federal candidates, and so you could go on the Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Laurie, all the conservative Mark Levine. But that would be great. That's why I say you can have some fun. You can have some fun with these antichrist, these fake conservatives, the synagogue of Satan, as you say, and run commercials, run ads, focusing on a website that people can find more information. I would actually lead with the old income tax scam, because I think if even sodomites and feminazis and whoever, the left hates the IRS as much as conservatives do. So we lead with that to get the attention, and then because if we got to stop people paying this income tax, but we will need the local county, state militia to as support to take out, if necessary, the police state the fake Jews already have in place. So I actually have a call. I tried to do something on Veterans Day. I tried to have a concealed carry, open carry. We have both those in Texas. Unfortunately, it's embarrassing to say that Texas does not have constitutional carry. But in any case, I'm trying to find sponsors, benefactors who would support a open carry, basically armed march on state capitals. Of course, there are various states. What is Virginia open constitutional carry? Open carry. What's Virginia?
Virginia is open carry.
Okay, so you could organize an armed march on what is it? Richmond is the capital, isn't it?
Yes, we're right in here in Richmond. That's
okay.
I'm in Henrico County now, but I've lived most of my adult life in the city of Richmond, and that's the only kind of demonstration we do is armed. The only
Right.
political speech that matters is armed political speech, because the First Amendment, protects the Second Amendment. They use deadly force in order to get us to comply with anything. So therefore, anything they can do to us, we can do to them. Only we have the authority, and they do not.
Well, gentlemen, let's try to get to some of these callers. As I said, they've been patiently waiting here. Here, hold on. Let me bring on the first caller.
One more point, if I may, Richard.
Sure, certainly.
I just want to say so since I wasn't able to find a sponsor or benefactors for Veterans Day, I'm now aiming, and it's on our Washington Tea Party, which has nothing to do with the Tea Party movement, the fraudulent Tea Party movement. We hope to have an armed march on state capitals. We're reaching out to veterans and Christian patriots on Memorial Day. So that's the next target, maybe. And we'll see. Okay, go ahead. Grab your caller.
We have 816 in Montana. Hello, you're on the air.
Montana? I'm in Kansas.
816 is Missouri, right?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, right. It is Missouri, but I'm in Kansas. I have a Missouri phone number because I keep changing my phone number due to... Excuse me?
You're on the Kansas side. I used to live in Kansas City, actually Overland Park.
Okay, now I see Missouri.
I'm in Olathe.
All right, I have like 4 callers total on here. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, ma'am. Did you have a question directed at Nicholas, at Chris, or perhaps to both of them?
Well, either of them, really, and it's not really a question. It's just that I wanted to make a statement that everything has already fallen apart. The police state is out of control, and the courts are a joke. The judges in the courts are the enforcers of the police state, and no one gets justice anywhere. I've been under severe police harassment for the last 3 years because I pressured the police department to work cases, including my own sexual assault of 2016. In the interim, I was repeatedly sexually and physically assaulted, nearly suffocated at the local hospital. I was made to do 90 days in lockdown on disorderly conduct charges with a $5,000 bond on me based on no evidence whatsoever. And now I will be protesting against the city of Olathe next year, in which I will be falsely arrested for the third time. Everything has already fallen apart for the poor, the mentally ill, and also minorities. And I was illegally and falsely diagnosed as being under psychosis to make 3 years worth of horrific police harassment go away. And this is just everything has gotten way out of control. And as far as the militias, I'm all for the militias. I know very little about politics and very little about the Constitution. But my main worry about militias is that there's this Aryan thing going on with them. And when you guys talk about the sodomites, I'm a devout Greek Orthodox Christian. Okay, I don't believe in homosexuality, but I believe in respecting others who have chosen that path. And I don't believe it's their fault. I believe that their soul has been deceived into thinking that they were born in the wrong body and that God had made a mistake. And this is the influences of the evil one. So I'm hoping that, this is you guys are not targeting, homosexuals, and you guys are not targeting, like I said, I'm against homosexuality. I don't believe in it, but I believe in respecting others. Sharice David is a lesbian and is a great congresswoman here in Kansas. So, and I don't support everything that she's about, especially when it comes to going against Trump's rule about foster kids being adopted by both a mother and a father. I don't believe that kids in foster care or being adopted should be adopted by same-sex parents. They should be adopted by a mother and a father. So I am against a lot of things, but, she helps people with Medicare issues and stuff like that. But anyway, I just wanted to make a statement. The only question I have for you guys is this on January 20th, and this rally is going to be in Virginia?
Yes.
Okay, I hope I didn't freak you guys out or anything. And the rally is going to be for, I'm asking you guys.
Yeah, this is it happens every year. I've been before. We go there to open carry at the Virginia State Capitol. It happens every year. It's nothing new. I have personally mustered in the militia. I've done that for the past, 8 to 10 years. So this is nothing new. They have some sort of gun or abortion related event depending on who's in power in the Virginia State Capitol. And they have the thing that freaks people out the most on each side. So when they want the liberals to show up at the state capitol and make a scene, they try to push forward abortion restrictions. And when they want the right-wing Republicans to show up, they do it with guns. So, anyways, yeah. Yeah, we're not against. We're not going to target gay people, and we're not going to target anyone who's not guilty of treason. All government officials are guilty of treason. We, as legitimate militia men and women, but actually it's really just men, and men meaning males. We don't support any government officials, Republican or Democrat. And any sort of 501c3 church is an apostate church. It's an abomination. And the real problem with everything in this society is usury. And it's not
Right.
It's not dudes sticking their private parts in other dudes' private parts. So yeah, let's
Right.
yeah, we need to have serious discussions here about what's going on. But that's all we do is
I'm all
have
for
serious
militias
discussions.
because you guys are going to be the brunt. You guys are going to be at the brunt when Agenda 21 kicks off, and you guys
The
are gonna
Agenda
be the
21
ones
is already
heroes.
kicked off, though. I mean, Agenda 21 is rolling along. This is just part of it. They have to disarm everyone to make every. But as I've said many times before, and it's been covered in national, local, and international media, they've already come for my guns many times, and I've gotten them back. But this is not about guns. This is about control of the government. I will say and speak on behalf of every single legitimate militia member out there, we will give up every single one of our rifles and handguns as soon as we gain control of the nuclear codes and weaponized drones and biological warfare department and public airwaves, etc. So we're interested in authority and power. Why do you say wow to that? I'm not really sure.
No, I think that's awesome. No, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
Nicholas, was there something you were going to add or ask Chris a moment ago?
It sounds, Chris, it sounds like this event on January 20th is something that they do every year.
It is something that's done every year. Yeah, there's something called the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and they sponsor a lobby day. That is a Republican lobbying arm, and it's run by a chump named Philip Van Cleve, who's an ex-cop. So, yeah, these are it's run by, I love gun owners, but these are the worst gun owners who run this. So we are taking over. We are their bosses. So when Philip Van Cleve sees me coming, he will lower his head and he will walk away like a coward that he is, because he knows what he's doing. And this is nothing new. This is just a big stage setup, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We've already abolished this government. We don't have anything to do with it. This government is ready to collapse. And when it does, they're going to have a militia, and I can tell you that, as we've been saying for many years, these guys that are members of the NRA, they are going to follow the lead of the illegitimate leaders, and so that's why we need a legitimate militia, and that is who we choose, not just everybody who shows up with a gun at an event or votes for a Republican in a fixed rigged election. Now, Democrats, as I say, are equally treasonous, but this government's finished. It's already done. It's already over. There is no government. There is no United States government. There is no America. It's all finished. It's done with. And as far as taxes, man, that's usury. That's and every single tax is unconstitutional because they're all unapportioned taxes. So it's all garbage. It's all crap. There's nothing good left in this society except for the people of God, and the people of God are the descendants of the European royalty. That's it. And it is our authority. We have a divine right to rule. And if you don't know that, one just has not paid any attention to history.
Oh, Alex Simeon.
Alex?
Yes, Alexandra.
Alexandra. I know we have a few other callers. Was there something else? Was there something else you wanted? You can feel free to stay on the line.
I'll stay on the line. I just wanted to ask one more question. Who's going to come out for us when they start Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030? I mean, I don't think it's going to be the police department, and I don't know if it's going to be the military. Who is going to be rounding us up? Because I'll be one of the first ones to go.
Oh, I thought you were. Well, you should be getting with your county sheriff. first of all, seeing if he's a constitutionalist.
There are no constitutionalist sheriffs. All sheriffs are guilty of treason. Every single elected official is guilty of treason. I mean, I will argue that point. I will argue that point. And again, they're already rounding people up. They already have FEMA camps.
I know.
It's already happened. They look. Well,
I'm scared.
Well, don't. Okay. I don't wish to be harsh.
I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is that we have documented this stuff as it is happening. The government, it does not operate under the Constitution now. It operates under something called continuity of government. Richard, I think I sent you a free copy of the Militia Handbook. Have you read the book? Because every single thing that is pertinent today, especially with the alleged, and let me repeat myself, the alleged proposed legislation in Virginia, it's all covered in the Militia Handbook. It's written at an 8th grade level. Somebody can read it in an hour. I'm a slow reader, so maybe it'll take me an hour and a half to read the Militia Handbook, but all the answers are in there. And it doesn't come from me. That's written by God. So, and I say that because it's just my analysis, which is anybody's legitimate analysis of what's already been written in Virginia Constitution and Constitution for the United States, in John Locke's Second Treatise on Government, and especially in the King James Version of the Bible, which gets back to our divine right to rule. So, you see what happens when we have a government run by Satanists.
Absolutely. We have our next caller here, 415 in California. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello, this is Clifford Everhart, acting commander of the California Militia. That might sound a little ironic since the Second Amendment rights have been infringed to not the maximum amount, but a very effective amount, meaning you're not allowed to open carry. But I do work with confronting the criminal police, documenting the police state, confronting Israeli 9/11 terrorists. And so I'm just here to, I do work with Chris on the Militia Intelligence Report. I'm just here to say that, yeah, this whole, it's political theater. So but as far as how dark and cynical I get, I saw Chris share an article about a Russian startup company selling robots to look like actual people. So that's how cynical I get, because one thing they like to do is to have, once again, problem, reaction, solution. So they might be trying to stir up some sort of event to convince the populace that, we have to round up your guns because it's too dangerous. These anti-government protesters or terrorists, as they might try to label us, we got to do this. So but regardless if they go that heavy-handed, they're already doing more than enough, and the people just need to say no and use lethal force. Like, use the threat of lethal force against these criminals. And as far as, like, who's going to stand up for people, you have to stand up for yourself, first of all. You can't just sit here and wait for Superman to save you. That's how you die. If anyone wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You have to stand up for yourself. No one's going to save you. I mean, that's one thing when I first got involved in politics many years ago. I mean, obviously, I was a member of the Democratic Party. I was angry at George Bush and Dick Cheney for 9/11, for illegal wars based on lies. So I thought, well, hey, these guys seem angry at George Bush too. So, but then I realized all Republicans, all Democrats, all elected officials, all cops, they're all guilty of treason. All of them. And it's treason, which is war against the people. So when it keeps getting repeated, when Agenda 21 rolls out, when Agenda 2030 comes, it's already here, and they don't have to send any human beings out to do anything. They can do it all by drone. They have mini bots. They can, and they can and are and will in the future unleash biological warfare agents. They're doing it now. Weather war. They can do anything that they choose. And the only solution is for trustworthy individuals who have the divine right to rule in their blood, and with all the, genetic testing, and genealogical reference material, it's very easy to figure out who that is, to be put in charge of God's people for God's true authority. That doesn't mean that people like myself who have the divine right to rule are better people. It doesn't, it just means that I'm better at this. It doesn't mean when Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time that means he's a great basketball player and a great person. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that he's the best at basketball. So now with all the rest of this stuff, nobody has thought this stuff through like this. And it's pathetic. And there's a massive mind control program going on.
Chris, let me jump in real quick and make a salient point. Today, I just got done tutoring one of my clients, an 8-year-old girl, working with her, and she said to me, I want to be smarter than everyone. Well, then do you want to learn about the Bank for International Settlements? So within 5 minutes, I explained to an 8-year-old the basics in a very sort of boiled down version that the people who control the money control it all for themselves and create poverty because that's what they want. She said, if I controlled the bank, I wouldn't do that. And I said, well, then that means you're not evil. So an 8-year-old girl is able to comprehend things that most adults seem that they're
right. And the next thing for her to comprehend, Cliff, and the next thing for her to comprehend is if she wouldn't take all that money for herself, and if she's not of this Khazarian, quote-unquote, Ashkenazi Jewish bloodline, if both of those things or either of those things are true, she would never be in control of the bank because the bank has to work like that. The bank has to keep everyone in poverty except for them. I mean, there's quadrillions of dollars in circulation right now, which means enough money to make every person on Earth, as Nicholas said, whatever they say, whether it's 7 billion people or 8 billion people or 6 billion people or whatever it is, whatever number there's enough money in circulation to make every single person a millionaire. There are enough assets, but yeah, go ahead.
If everyone's a millionaire or a billionaire, no one is, because then it becomes revealed that the money's all fraudulent. The only reason people want the money is because it can get them things. And if everyone has all these paper debt notes or digits in a computer screen, if everyone's a billionaire, no one's going to do the services, and then humanity realizes, money isn't the real currency. It's not valuable. It's the land, it's the weapons, it's the food, which this mafia, this mob, this criminal syndicate, the synagogue of Satan, what they've done is they've used this black money magic to trick everyone into trading their land, lives, souls, and souls of their children for worthless debt notes and digits on a computer.
Right. It's a simulation.
And they
Let's get it. I want to get into the simulation.
Okay, and is there anything that you, Nicholas, would like to add or ask 415 in California, Cliff, I think you said. Anything you'd like to add or to what Cliff said or ask Cliff before we go to the next caller?
I would say, Cliff, are you familiar? Let me tell the listeners that I am more of a facilitator. I don't consider myself a leader per se, but I think I have a plan and an agenda that would work for mobilizing what I hope to be 15 million people, 5% population. So what I do is I network with others, and I was going to ask the 415 caller if he was aware of the Cal Exit movement.
I am aware of it. It hasn't come back in the news cycle in a while. I'm not even sure if I last heard about it in 2018 or 2017. But I have heard the movement. I'm very skeptical and cynical that it's as much, if not even more so, than with what's going on with the so-called people wanting to defend the Second Amendment in Virginia. because here I've been to many government-staged events here in California. The police set them up. They bring in agent provocateurs like this gay Jewish Catholic named Milo Yiannopoulos. He was there for a race war psyop on Black History Month, I believe. So I am aware of that movement, and I assume it's mostly government agents forwarding it.
It is, and it fits along with the... Real quick, they were doing the Cal exit when they were doing the propaganda about the big earthquake in California exiting the continental United States, literally. So this is the same thing with Virginia and the National Guard. The last time the National Guard was in the news in Virginia, a commander of a Virginia National Guard unit stole a weaponized MRAP and drove it 70 miles, and the high-speed chase ended right in front of the Virginia General Assembly building at the Virginia State Capitol. So they're sending these messages, whether they're using mind control machines to make persons do what seem to be very strange, unusual things, leading it to very strange, unusual places like the Virginia State Capitol. But it's a mockery. They're joking. They have all of the tools. We have none of the tools. And the only solution is for the body of the people, which means the legitimate people of God, which is a bloodline and genetic and philosophical religion, to gain control of all the weapons of war and all of the issuance of currency. There's no other solution. It's as simple as that.
Nicholas was going to respond to Cliff as well. Nicholas, what were you going to add, sir?
Well, so Nicholas asked me if I was familiar with Cal Exit, and I told him I believe it's mostly led by government agents. What's your response to that, Nicholas? You might have looked more into it and might know some of the actual players in Cal Exit. Any response to that?
Over the last few months, I have come in contact with a gentleman by the name of Marcus Ruiz Evans. And if you go to, you can contact me. My email is nlandholt@mail.com. But maybe he's a government agent. I mean, the fact that the matter is, because we, the people, have lost control of the government, we don't know what the hell, who's who and what's what. He seems like a sincere liberal, and he's got 17 states, I believe. He's called them red states. He is looking to, because the Jew-stream media controls the narrative, they claim that there is no support outside of California. There's no other state support California leaving the Union. And he knows that's a lie, and what he's doing is created the Yes Cal Exit group. And I'm sort of the informal Texas representative, saying, hell no, we support them. We will help them leave. We want them out of here. We don't want California.
Amen, Nicholas. Amen, Nicholas. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, continue, but I kind of want to get into something like me, Chris, and one of the other militia members, David, discussed about, as far as essentially I don't even know if you want to call it our ideal, but as when Chris speaks about not consuming animal flesh, and people say, well, things changed in the Bible, it's like, well, we think it's best to go with the original plan. And the original plan of this nation was not 50 states. We're calling to roll this back to the original 13 colonies. And then as far as where I am, give this back to Mexico, not the criminal Mexican government, but the Mexican people. So we can maybe get into that, because people get real twisted when we talk about that.
And uniting the 13.
I'm an Articles of Confederation guy, but I think we need to get back to where we can enforce we the people have control of the Constitution, so that we can start leading the Union.
Well, lethal force is the only thing that enforces any political will anywhere. So until we start discussing the how to I guess exert legitimate lethal force, then there's nothing. I mean, for example,
Well, if you
not a single person,
line,
not one single person.
stay on the line, but I'd like to bring in the next caller
Right.
in a moment too. Chris, you had something else to add?
Hello?
I'm sorry, Chris. Did you have something else that you?
Yeah,
were going to finish?
just a
Yeah,
real
I'm
quick, it's important, but it's something that I think a lot of folks have thought about. Nobody would ever pull over for a road pirate, aka a cop, or any other government official, if in fact the idea of them dying for not listening to a Barney Fife character with a badge, nobody would listen to anything that they said. So that's where we have to be. It's like, okay, you guys are guilty of treason. We can say it all day long. We can prove it all day long until we start executing the law, and treason is a capital offense. Then nobody's going to do anything, nothing's going to change, and our police state is going to get worse. This stuff is real obvious. I don't know, sometimes I wonder, what else is there really to talk about? Because it all comes down to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any sort of organizing, talking to random people who may or may not be government agents, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Even guns. I mean, they could send out killbots, direct, drones. They don't have to send any person whatsoever to take your gun, to take your life, to take your property. And also, when you talk about money, they don't have to do anything now except for turn off every sort of banking, accoutrement. It's all on your cell phone. They can cut you off. They can cut your power off. Look at California, what they did when the Marines were deployed to carry out warfare at the beginning of the fall this year. How many millions of people have lost their homes through government created fires, and that's just their words. And when I say government, I don't believe it was just PG&E that started it, but that's what they say. They lose their homes, they lose their power, they're refugees in their own country.
I'd like to bring in the next caller for Chris and Nicholas to respond to. We have Charles on the line, or is that what you want to go by here? Hello? Or did you call just to listen? We have a Charles on the line here. Did you have something to ask, or perhaps you just called to listen?
Yo, Charles, you there? Maybe your line is.
Hello, can you hear me?
You too.
Yes.
There we go.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
I have my phone muted.
Oh, okay.
I called in to listen and to try and comment. It's obviously this country's in dire straits. It's been this way for quite some time, and we can point fingers and call people out, but basically, I think it does boil down to I've spoken with Nicholas and some sort of depth, and the only solution is revitalizing the militias and moving on the state. Nothing else is going to be done through voter fraud and other things. We're all being stifled. We're all being choked, and they're fleecing us through taxes and usury. And yeah, we can point out the Khazars, and we can talk about the racist thing, the racial element. However, the bottom line is all that stuff's going to sort itself out once these militias start getting active and start getting moving and start getting things done. So I guess my question to Nicholas, is what do you think the next step is here?
Well, for me, it's finding a campaign manager because we can use this law to see the Khazars, the fake Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, whatever we want to call them, the synagogue of Satan. They've got control of the media, and there's only, in my view, there's only one way around it, and that's a federal candidate running advertising nationwide on these FCC licensed stations, because there's a federal law that says they have to take the advertising. So, and if they don't, then the candidate can the state their license. And but if the courts are all corrupt, which I believe they are, it may come down to a civil type of shoot war. But in my mind, it's a God, guts, and gun kind of a thing. And if God wants the militia movement to rise up and unite, because the Jew-stream media is great at keeping, whether it's white, blacks, browns, yellow, they're great at keeping us divided because it's a satanic element. And the only way to overcome Satan really is through God. And then God will use militia, bring him the glory. So, in my view, as I said, I can, as a federal, I can run these ads, and we can have a lot of fun with them. I could be in the Constitution Party or the Reform Party or the Christian Party, but none of those people have ballot access.
But Nicholas,
I
Nicholas.
got over 22,000 votes in 2016 just because my name was on the ballot, because I did not run a campaign. I didn't even ask to count.
But elections is what has gotten us here. Every single problem that we have is from not just the fact that all the elections are rigged, but the fact that there's a concept out there that our God-given rights can be stripped from us as a result of someone else's vote. So every single problem is a result of what you say the solution is.
But like you said, the votes are they're fraudulent anyway. They don't count for anything. So it's these Khazars, these Ashkenazis, everybody at the top, the elite, whatever you want to call them, that are making these decisions. There's no election, there's a selection. And so I guess, Nicholas, what you're saying is the way you're going to make public more aware of this, to raise awareness, is that you're going to run for president, not necessarily to win the presidency, but to get our ideals out in the open and into the public, correct?
Yes, to create an Occupy/Yellow Vest movement that is not controlled by either the left or the right. And it's going to be an armed Christian Occupy/Yellow Vest.
Yeah, but why are you the best person to do that?
Say again?
What makes you think that you're worthy of doing that? All I can say is, right. Well,
he's not worthy.
Right. So, well, listen. Hey, caller. Let me speak here, because I don't want to confuse people. And this is confusing, folks. So, the government must be abolished. Do you agree or disagree?
Which one are you asking, me or the other caller?
I'm asking you.
I absolutely believe it should be abolished.
Okay. Stop. Right. Okay.
The formulation and revitalization of the militia. I'm agreeing with everything. I'm not arguing with anything you said.
Right. But I don't want to confuse. This is not about an argument. It's about.
Bloodline to take power of this back. We are inheritors of God's power.
I am. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. So I am. I know that's true, but I don't know who you are. So I can't say the same for you. So what I'm saying is that it's written into the law that we must abolish the government. And all this, the reason why this is happening is because of or at least this show is because of alleged proposed unconstitutional gun grab statutes. And in Virginia, it says the people have not only the right, but the duty to abolish the government. And that goes back to our ancient English common law, which gives people the right of self-preservation and the right of revolution and the right to save their community and their family, etc. So what's going on is... Go ahead.
That old law that you're speaking of, the English law, I understand it's been completely subverted by maritime law and commerce law, and it's slowly eroded us. I completely agree. I mean, the United States Constitution...
Right. So the people who did that, they committed treason. Right?
Yes. Right.
Okay, so what is the punishment for treason?
Hang 'em high.
Okay, or firing squad, it's a capital crime. So the solution is very, very simple. It's a very simple solution. It doesn't have to do with Democrats or Republicans or the FCC or anything like that. It has to do with, and I can tell you that it is a fraction of the population that is in control of everything now. 0.1%. And in the future, it will also be, even when God's law is restored by God's people, not those without sin, but it will be a fraction. So what the average person, what 99.9% of the population do, is meaningless to actual controlling the assets of the finance world and the assets of the military world, which are the only things that matter, because the body of the people is getting stupider and stupider, and they will follow evil as they're doing now, and they'll follow good as, God willing, we shall bring to them.
Did that answer the questions you had, Charles? Is that what you're going by for tonight, sir? Just yes, Charles, right?
Fine. Yes, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree that we completely live in an idiocracy. I wanted to make those comments and ask basically what the next steps were, and I think revitalizing the militias, which is what you both, you have Nicholas and Mr. Dorsey, that's what you have in common. I don't understand. I was not trying to be negative or disagreeing in any way. But you're talking about just going straight and killing them. Just go straight.
No. You said that. You said that's you said, I'm asking you questions about what the law is and what's going on, and you actually said that. And you say the word killing them, so the government kills people left and right. How many times have the police killed innocent people here in America just this year? Charles?
There's many times.
Thousands. So do you go out and talk about that? You said it. I'm asking you questions about what the law is. I didn't make up the law. I didn't write the Bible. I didn't write Second Treaties on Government. I didn't write Virginia Declaration of Rights or the U.S. Constitution. But I'm not going to play like a
disconnect here, because I haven't argued with you in any way. I haven't disagreed with you.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just setting things straight, Charles, because you said you made an incorrect statement. No. You made an incorrect statement. You after you said something, you attribute that to me, and you mislabel it. You say, I just want to go out and kill people. But that's not what I said. I said these people are guilty of treason, and then you agreed. We verified that fact together, and then you say that something like that. So I don't take any offense at it, but certainly that's very argumentative to misrepresent exactly what I'm saying. Don't you think?
I'm not attempting to misrepresent anything.
But you did. I don't care whether you attempted to or not. You did.
We need to do these things.
Right, but
things we need to do before before we get.
Yeah, no. I'm just talking about you misrepresenting what was said. I'm just talking about you misrepresenting what you said. I don't care whether you intended to do it or not, but you did.
How did I misrepresent what I said? How did I misrepresent?
How many times do I have to explain it? You ask me a question, I'll ask you. How many times do I have to explain it? I ask you questions about what the law is, and then you turn around and you say, well, you just want to go out and kill everybody, or something to that effect. Are you denying that you said that?
No, that's not what I said.
What exactly did you say? What exactly did you say?
Prior to that, I really don't understand what we're arguing about.
I'm not arguing. I'm asking you questions. You're argumentative. You're argumentative.
Nicholas, perhaps Nicholas has some insight here into the difference of opinion we're hearing.
It's not a difference of opinion. It's what happened. Excuse me, Richard. I'm just telling you. I'm not gonna have like a bunch of nonsense where somebody either doesn't remember what they just said or is gonna try to get away with such nonsense like that.
And I'm not trying to get away with anything.
No, but you are. You're definitely doing that.
You know, let me get to the next. We have another caller on the line. I didn't get to you.
We'll get back to this later on. I've not forgotten about this. I don't like those little tricks. I don't like those little tricks.
Okay, Nicholas, please. What are your insights into these portions of the discussion?
Well, I agree that we have to, the militia has to be revitalized before we can get anywhere. Mr. Dorsey has a different view of who militia is. I'm more...
Well, wait. Let's stop, because I really don't like any of this stuff. It's not my opinion. It's defined, and when we talk about militia in the United States, the definition comes from George Mason.
Let's let Nicholas finish.
Be a little moderated a little better here.
Yeah, Chris, let's allow...
Hey,
Let's allow for Nicholas to finish.
Charles, what's your name? Charles, what's your name, buddy? Your full name.
Nicholas, please. You said you're more of a statutory. I'm sorry. What was it you were going to say?
A statutory. I mean, there are no constitutional militias in America. They all went away in 1903. Would Mr. Dorsey agree with that?
No, I think that as intended, the militia system ended in 1861.
Okay, so what is your opinion of the Charles Dick Act of 1903?
That it's inconsequential. It's more of adding to something that is to prevent something from happening in the future rather than getting rid of something that exists at the time. Is your opinion different than that? Because if it is, like...
So they did not replace state militias with the National Guard in the early 20th century?
I'm saying the state militias did not exist after 1861. So you can't replace something that doesn't exist anymore. Come on. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, Richard. I don't like, going on to shows where folks can't get behind actual facts.
Well, I don't understand what the discrepancy.
What would be your position, Mr. Dorr, on how to revitalize state militia, whether they went away in 1903 or 1861?
I mean, I wrote a book. Have you read my book?
Well, just
Hey, Richard, real quick. Hey, no. We got to figure something out here because something strange is going on.
Sure.
So you're muting certain of the callers, but not certain other of the callers. No, yes, you are. Yeah. No. We're done with Charles.
You can't have everyone unmuted at the same time.
Right.
I don't
So
think it'll allow that. I can try it.
yeah, well maybe try that because I don't like tricks, man.
And then I'm going to leave the call. One more comment, I'm going to leave the call.
What's your name, Charles? What's your name, buddy? What's your name?
Government
What's your name? What's your name?
Oh, I'm a government agent. No, I'm not a government agent. It's very obvious. It's very obvious because you're getting increasingly combative. You had multiple times to de-escalate. You continue to escalate. It's very obvious to anyone who has a word.
And you're full of it, dude. You're a liar, Charles.
You sound like some liberal professor from California. We're not
Liberal professor?
I got one statement. I want to get off the phone. Richard, can you please?
No. Hey, you're not going to get that statement in, Charles. State your name, buddy. State your name, punk. Yeah, come. Yeah. This guy is. Yeah, whatever. It's wrong. I can't take liars. I can't take liars and deceptive individuals. Good. I don't care whether you agree or not. I don't care whether you agree or not. You're inconsequential to me. It doesn't matter, Richard. It doesn't matter what you say.
Everyone should be able to allow one person to speak at a time without me having to mute anyone.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything, man. But you don't have to do anything. I respect people that are respectable. Charles, are you still there? I thought you were getting off the phone.
Charles, calm down. You're laughing because you're full of the devil.
Yep, absolutely. Well, say your name, buddy. Why are you hiding your identity, Charles?
Do not be so impudent. You must not be people of the same God, then. You're of your father, the devil. Do not play with me. What do you think? Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan.
Absolutely. Charles, hey, why don't you say what your name is, buddy, so we can identify you?
Yeah, why haven't you said your true name? Why must you hide yourself like
What are you afraid of, buddy?
And what's with all this weird feedback? Not on my end.
By the way, the Greek
Oh, Lordy.
the Greek Orthodox Church is the one holy apostolic church.
No, it's not. Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, and
Oh, Lordy. We got all the government agents coming out with all this craziness now.
Catholic Church. No Catholic Church. The Greek Orthodox Church founded by St. Paul in 70 AD.
Sorry.
Is the one truly holy apostolic church.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And this Aryan thing, no, it is. This Aryan thing has to go away.
You're the only one that said the word Aryan. Lady, you're the only one that said Aryan.
Son of God.
All right.
Please have mercy on me, a sinner. Most holy Theotokos, please have mercy on me.
Richard, what's going on your show, buddy?
Satan, get behind me.
Richard, what's going on here?
I don't know, but clearly I can't unmute everyone because that was a little crazy. I don't know why we have to...
Well, you've got crazy callers. You've got crazy, insane callers. I mean, Richard, you were on a whole network run by the FBI.
Did you have something to add or ask as a question?
Yeah, hello, this is, if I'm being heard very well, this is David Dotree. I'm also a legitimate member of the Militia.
Oh, yes. No, yeah, you've been on with Chris before. Hi. Welcome.
Hello. Sure. Yeah, I was on your round table with Johnny, and of course many others. But yeah, real quick. Me, Chris, and Clifford, we do the Militia intelligence report together, and every one of these questions and everything that's being discussed tonight, I mean, that's the basis of what we talk about. So first of all, everybody keeps, well, not everybody, but individuals keep saying we need to get the militias started. Now, if you're one of the people living in the United States, that's already started. Now, see, it has nothing to do with whether or not you own a rifle. See, Clifford, he lives in California. He obviously isn't a gun owner. I just bought a new AR-15 rifle, but that doesn't mean I like guns. It's a hobby of mine like golf, but that doesn't mean I plan on using it against the United States government, because that's like hunting a bear with a BB gun. You're just going to get yourself hurt. Now, what we require is the control of the most deadly weapons of war. And what does that really mean? A lot of people say, well, Taven, what are you hinting at? Everybody should own their own jet, Abrams tank, and mind control. No, it's the fact that you control not only the manufacturing of it, but vehicles need fuel. Some of these armaments need maintenance. So you control the production of it. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to have proxy wars and own jets. And first of all, you got to know how to fly it. And it's the same thing with mind control weapons and nuclear weapons. Now, a government, or the United States government, they're not supposed to have an armed force. So that goes for the Defense Department and the police. That is like, as long as they exist, we have no United States. We can say we're the United States all day. You can pledge allegiance to a flag like it's like my mother. I don't need to write down on a piece of paper or pledge allegiance to I love my mother. That's just something that you expect from yourself and others. And it's the same thing, with a government. I'm loyal. I'm loyal to humanity, and I want a government like the United States that intended to have laws where we're humane and where we have morals and where it's our duty. We don't need government to write down on a piece of paper that even murder laws. To me, like murder laws on a piece of paper are unconstitutional, because that's something that is already expected of the law. That if you have a society that follows the King James Bible and that are the people of God, they're already going to know this stuff enough to not have to write it on a piece of paper. And again, as long as a government has an armed force or maintains gangs where they have guns, the government is not supposed to have that. The militia is what police is. See, like Chris said on a show one time we had, police isn't like a force. Police is something. You shoot clay pigeons for sports. You go police the ones that didn't crack. So it's a thing. And real quick, I know Chris. He'll probably jump in on this, and I expect him to. But a good example of anybody doing anything good through the legal process, or what they call it, we call it the unlawful legal process, because there's nothing legal about it, is Chris in 2013 ran for Richmond sheriff, and one of the aspects that he ran on was the fact that if he became Richmond sheriff, real criminals will be arrested, including Jeffrey Lacker, who was head of the Federal Reserve Bank, and his crimes were provable. And again, of course, he proved the elections were 100% rigged, because obviously he didn't become Richmond sheriff. And again, the process was not meant for him to even get that far. It was just meant for him to be on the ballot, and then the election is so rigged that nothing came about it. So again, one last thing I really wanted to hint on was the fact that if anybody suggests going up against this government in any kind of armed way. Now, what I would like to say is I'm going to use Jerry Rubin's, the old anti-war activist, when he said when somebody asked him in a press conference, and again, I'm not promoting the man, but I'm using his talking points. And again, I'm referring to a press conference, October 2nd, 1967, and they asked, why are you going to march on the Pentagon? He said, because the Pentagon represents oppression and murder of people throughout the world, and what we're going to do is stand in front of the building, block doorways, and occupy the building and disrupt service. That's what an armed militia does, except using guns. It's not what some people try to say. Oh, you go shooting and light the spark. No, you occupy like they do. Block it, and not only just do it one time, on October 2nd, 1967, but all day, every day, constantly. Not just a day, not just an event, but because what are you waiting for? Why is everybody defending this pathetic lifestyle that they complain about every day? You hate your job. I know you do. I do. I hate going to work. I'm doing fine. I can't complain like a lot of these homeless people, but man, I don't like seeing my fellow humanity like that, no matter how good I got it. I don't care if I'm flush with money in the bank. I want to use the money I got.
Amen.
That was it. Anybody can jump in.
Who would like to jump in?
Well,
I mean, I don't have to say amen to that.
all I can say is,
Chris has more to say.
Sheriff?
I'm sorry, what?
Amen to that.
You ran for sheriff?
I ran for sheriff back in 2013 with the platform of arresting all government officials and taking over by force the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond and turning the Richmond Sheriff's Department into an active Virginia militia for the purposes of destroying usury and destroying everything that this society stands for. So if you like anything about this society, then you're not on our side. If you wish, if one says that they're a Christian, then they need to follow behind what we are saying. And if they don't, they're certainly not a Christian.
We haven't heard from it that you decided. When was it that you decided that the vote was rigged and it's a waste of time to?
Probably back in the year 2000. Probably back in the year 2000. Maybe before.
So why run in 2013?
To let everybody know that that's the only solution.
And that's what I'm doing in 2020 if I can find a
Right,
campaign.
but that's 7 years after. Right, and also.
So why reinvent the wheel?
And why president? Because president doesn't have the authority to do anything with any state militias.
I explained why. Because FCC licensed stations must
FCC, we plan on putting FCC in front of a firing squad. Do you think that's a bad idea? Do you think that they're guilty of treason? Do you think that the head of the FCC is guilty of treason?
But I said in my earlier comments, I said that maybe they, with the judicial system being so corrupt, maybe can't sue. Maybe a station does deny my advertising.
Right.
And so we try to sue, and the courts throw it out.
Right.
Or maybe it does cut down to a shooting war.
No. We're not talking about a shooting war. We're talking about enforcing the law for treason. I'm asking you, do you think that there are any government agents anywhere out there? For example, you're a Navy veteran, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is there any aspect of the United States military that's not treasonous?
Well, we're not supposed to be having a standing army. That's unconstitutional. Would you agree?
I'm not talking about unconstitutional. I'm talking about treasonous, like and as defined in Article 3, Section 3, war against the people. So is there any element of the United States military that's not, or any part of the government, but specifically the military, that's not engaged in treason?
I would say no.
Okay. So then that's all one needs to know. Like how we end it, whether we have to execute like a handful of people or whether we have to execute 100,000 people, nothing is going to change until this treason law is enforced.
Well, Nicholas, wait, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I think he was getting to it. I mean, we say that's all you need to know. Well, that's knowledge, but knowledge without action is nothing. So he's saying, what'd you say after that, Chris?
So that's pretty much everything. I mean, basically, the government is abolished. When I say the government is abolished, that means the government's abolished. You know, it means they did it. They abolished the government and what is the government? In the United States, it's the Constitution. In Virginia, it's Virginia Constitution. In Texas, it's Texas Constitution plus U.S. Constitution. So when the basis of the Constitution is no longer in effect, the government's already abolished. Now, that's our fault as the people because we are tasked. We are given the duty to abolish the government. But those guilty of treason, they've already abolished the government. If you, and what you say, and I agree 100%, if all the courts are kangaroo courts, if none of them have any legitimacy, if none of the taxes that we work for are constitutional, if the government and every arm of the military, which is a standing army, which is unconstitutional, is engaged in war against the people, and they are in every way imaginable, then the government's already abolished. It's nothing. So when somebody doesn't pay income taxes, so what? Neither do I. Because why would you? Because it's abolished. If somebody goes out and votes in this government, it doesn't mean anything. The government's already abolished. It's done. It's finished.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Essentially, the way it is like people, those residing in America, because all of this is unlawful, but those who control it still occasionally try to act as though they put on the color of law. You can pretty much ignore stuff, and if you aren't a threat to the government, they'll more or less leave you alone. So they're not going to, unless you're making like Wesley Snipes money, they're probably not going to come after you if you are so-called avoiding taxes. But for some people, they get to avoid taxes because they're a privilege in this criminal syndicate. So you can think of what's going on as like a game with rules, and certain states mean the game is over. We are at the state where the government is abolished. It is not legitimate. Now the issue we run into as far as living meaningful lives is that despite the fact the government is abolished, there is a criminal syndicate using the infrastructure of the government to continue to wage war. And so what has to happen, and Nicholas, I respect what you were saying, and I like the idea, but the issue with the idea is you're taking a scenic route that you can already predict. Even if they let you get this far, they might just put up a roadblock and say, oh yeah, we're going to, change the rules, cheat you like they cheat us out of everything else. So at this point, there really is no other option than so what are they doing at the end of the day? Using the threat of lethal force to get people to comply. You apply with taxes not because they're lawful, but because criminals with guns, there's a threat that they could put you in a cage unlawfully. So at this point, you have to, for lack of a better phrase, fight fire with fire. They make the people bend to their will with the threat of lethal force. The people must make the criminal syndicate bend to our will with lethal force. And it doesn't have to be more lethal force than they are capable of. It just has to be sufficient lethal force to make them surrender, or essentially the threat of your valuable assets or your life. And it doesn't sound pretty. It's not nice. I don't really like thinking about it, but it's what must be done. We are adults here. Like, no one likes to take out the trash because it's smelly, gross. It's not pleasant. But if you don't take out the trash, your entire house becomes unpleasant. So all that's left to do is for however many true people, not only by blood, but by deed. I would say I am more concerned with deeds. That the blood is important, but I'm looking for action. So those who are adults and the people of the United States, by blood and deed, if they wish to live in a civil society, must neutralize those who are making it uncivil as required by the law written by their forefathers. Drafted by their forefathers, coming from God and natural. Sorry that was a little long-winded. My apologies.
How can that be stated any better? I really don't know. I really don't know why everyone, or many persons, I should say, have any idea outside of that. This is a very simple concept. It's extremely simple. God made man warlike. The history of the world is war. There's never been a period of time when there hasn't been war. When one entity's will is enforced through lethal threats or lethal deeds. So the idea of even just having an AR-15 or, one nuclear submarine when other entities have dozens of nuclear submarines or hundreds of nuclear submarines. Those who have the guns will rule, and those who do not will be slaves to those who do have the guns. And when I say guns, I think that is possibly misleading, so I'm going to add a caveat every time I think about it. Guns means the deadly weapons of war. And that's what it all comes down to. At the end of the day, everything comes down to control and use. Not just control and use, but the legal. Lady, I'm not sure who you are, but I mean, I don't think you're adding too much to this conversation, but confusion.
No, I was just going to say that's what happened in 1917 during the Bolshevik Revolution. The Bolsheviks went into Russia.
You are certainly. You don't know anything about what went on there. You don't know a damn thing about it, lady.
They gave up their guns and they didn't leave, and so they were taken over because they gave up their guns.
All right, listen. Let me explain something to you about the 1917 revolution, man. Listen, no. Listen, there were 18 armed factions. Listen. There were 18 armed factions in this, and this actually, I'm glad she blurted out that nonsense because it brings it to a point. Everything is not just based on warfare. Everything is based on factions too. So it wasn't just two factions, the Bolsheviks versus the White Russians. There were at least 18 armed factions fighting in that war. And they were all being financed from the same source. Just like today, the Federal Reserve Bank was financing the Bolsheviks. The Bank of England was financing the Bolsheviks and the White Russians and every other faction. There's going to be factions. There's no avoiding that. So there are factions within the militia, and that's what's going to happen. It has nothing to do. There were plenty of guns around, and I can tell you another thing. By the time the shooting really starts here in America, God willing it doesn't, but you're not going to worry. You're not going to have to worry about the gun you bought filling out an ATF piece of paper saying this or that or the other thing. The guns will be around, believe me, because we already live in a war zone in America, and I can tell you the murders aren't really being carried out by registered guns. So there you go. There's armed factions.
Nicholas, did you have something that you'd like to add at this point?
Well, it's just that if we're supposed to use force, whether it's deadly or whatever the necessary force is, because the government has been abolished by the bad guys, for lack of a better word, how are you going to organize that force so that you're not split into these factions and the bad guys who have drones and tactical nukes, NBC weapons? How are you going to organize your force to take that on, or is it just going to be guerrilla warfare?
Are you saying? I mean, I've certainly carry out I apply guerrilla warfare tactics to everything that I do. But how are you going to do it? I mean, it's like, this is what I'm saying. Nicholas, have you read my book?
No.
Richard, have you read my book? You did an interview with me.
I've been meaning to, so I...
Right, but you did a whole interview with me and you didn't even read my book, and you said that the interview was about the book months before this, and you know, you can get a free copy anywhere. I don't like to give my work away for free, but I mean, I wrote a whole book about it. So, I mean, I wrote 70 pages to answer that question that was just posed, and I'll answer it though. What's that?
Essentially, I wanted to address Nick's question. So it could be done in infinite ways.
Right.
So think of it this way. I
Right.
live out here in California. There are literal legions of Uber and Lyft drivers. The legions, 1,000, by the way. So there are legions. So there are thousands of these guys. And if they wish, many of them are not of the bloodline of the people, but once again, they're still suffering, or they are being disadvantaged. If they wish, these legions of drivers could just stop and surround the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco with their cars, and then literally take action even without having firearms to be dysfunctional to this satanic system. So there's many things anyone wishes to do, whether they're one of the American people, whether they're just a resident, or anyone being waged war against by this system. And that goes back to the divide and conquer, because some persons from other countries come here and their quality of life is relatively better from where they come from, but they're not aware of what's really going on. So they have an incentive to, keep the system as is, because they think it's going to be all sunshines and rainbows for them, not knowing that it's going to just continually get worse. But regardless,
They become slaves.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
They come over here and become slaves.
Yeah, and people are slaves everywhere. But my point is, there's many things humans can do. It's just when you ask, like, how do you get this done? Like, how do you eat, Nicholas? Like, do you want to cut the steak with a fork, or do you want to do it this way? There's many ways you can do it. You should just try to do something rather than nothing.
Right, and let me follow, if I can follow up on that. As is said, I mean, I wrote an entire book, and it's called The Militia Handbook. And folks don't seem to be interested in the step-by-step process of how we got here and how to remedy the unlawful satanic system that we have. I wrote a book, but just to follow up on what Clifford says, and also reiterate in a manner what he says is, there's infinite ways of doing it, and also how it's going to be done. And this is the basis of the book. It's already out there. History is our guide. How does anything get done? It's the same way always. We start our own court system. We start our own armed force. We start our own religious organization. We start our own system of exchange of goods and services. And we take over and regain the assets, mostly land, because land is the only real asset that there is, that's not going to be blown up or destroyed or wither away due to time. We take our property back from those who stole it from us. So, listen. No. Listen, lady. What is your name? Can we please identify you? Listen to me. Listen to me. I wish for you to identify yourself, lady, because, you are not bringing anything positive to this program. Well, then state what your name is so we know who you are. Why are you hiding your identity? Why are you hiding your identity, and why are you yelling into a phone?
And the main question I want to ask is how is Nicholas Landholt going to get a campaign manager?
Who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Does matter.
It does not. It does not.
Okay.
It doesn't matter in the least.
Guys, please, let me have the floor. I gotta ask, are we all really gonna pretend this isn't like a big, operation now? Because it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous, Richard. Hey, you should know better. You know about Kyle Hunt and Sinead and Mary Catherine Barton, don't you?
Wilford Riley?
Richard, are you there, buddy?
We do seem to have different people who are taking it into other directions.
No, nobody's taking that. Your callers are doing that, not mine.
Why is this taking it under directions? I mean, because he's running for the president, okay? And
All right. And as we said, that does not matter.
Correct?
It does not matter. Richard. Hey, you.
okay, whatever, okay? But the bloodline theory about Europeans or whatever, I'm a Southeastern European, guys. I'm a Southeastern European, and we have bad tempers, okay? And it's just that I'm here to lay the case of fight for civil and human rights, so nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't care about your opinion, lady. I would like to identify you.
Primarily called in
People into your militias.
Alexandra.
I'm
It
saying,
seems that
what?
you primarily called in then to support Nicholas in his campaigning. Is that correct?
No, I didn't call just for that, but
Okay.
that's my question. I wanted to butt in at one point and ask how is he going to get a campaign manager. I wanted to hear what you guys said, and I listened.
All right. Let me explain something to you, lady. Let me explain something to you. Okay. So there are, I don't know, millions of offices around the country, and as someone who was a former member of the Democratic committee, there are hundreds of thousands of campaign managers, and what I'm telling you is Nicholas getting a campaign manager or running for president or not is completely inconsequential and will do nothing substantial to improve life on planet Earth at all. Okay, so number two, I keep asking, what is your name? Let me identify you. I want to know who I'm talking to. When folks participate with
My
me,
name is
no, I'm not. Identify yourself.
Simeon, Symeon.
What do you do? What do you do for work? What do you do? Who employs you?
Who employs
Who employs me? I do not work right now because I have been pounded down by the damn Olathe, Kansas Police Department. Okay? I am completely useless at this point.
That's true. That is true. That is true. You are completely useless at this point.
Olathe, Kansas Police Department, okay? And now I'm fighting back. I'm going to be protesting this year. I've got a great organization, Police Abuse, working my case against the police department. All right? I'm going to be taking these bastards to court.
Do it on your own time, lady.
All right?
Yeah, do it on your own time.
What?
I said do it on your own time.
Excuse me? You asked me what I was doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing. You asked me who was employing me.
Alexandra, I have to compliment you.
What?
You're doing an amazing acting job, but you're not going to be winning that Oscar you seem to be trying so hard for.
Right. Hey, Richard, you know about...
Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are?
That's Clifford Eberhardt. He's from Tennessee and he lives in California now.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Alexandra, the fact that you confuse me with Chris when our voices are so distinct shows how useless you are
Who
at
the
making
hell?
us
Okay,
sad.
who are you?
Hey, Clifford. Clifford's a public figure. You can see his. Yeah.
Apologize that you were born into my world, Alexandra. Get thee behind me, Satan.
Hey, Richard. Richard.
You're an idiot. You're
Richard.
an idiot.
Who's an idiot?
You don't know what the hell you're talking about half the time.
At least I don't claim to be useless.
Right.
Excuse me? You're telling me I'm useless?
You said you're useless.
Okay,
I
Miss,
was made this way.
You said you're
all
useless.
this arguing.
No. Hey, Richard. Hey. I'm gonna have to take issue with you too, Richard. You know about Mary Catherine Barton being the handler of Kyle Hunt and Sinead McCarthy, right?
That's very important.
I don't know of that woman, but I know of all the concerns I had around that platform regarding Kyle.
Well, Kyle and Sinead are FBI agents. Right? No. But that's fine. That's fine. But you know.
I don't know this woman from Eve.
Okay, fair enough. But
Just call me Cleopatra. Everyone calls me Cleopatra.
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
So anyhow, this is the kind of nonsense that Kyle and Sinead would pull on their platform, because I must say, I'm really skeptical of just about everyone. But you weren't aware of Mary Catherine Barton?
I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but I mean,
Okay, so that's Kyle Hunt and Sinead McCarthy's handler, and let me finish here because I'm not sure whether you're being completely forthcoming or not. She is an FBI agent. She's a federal prosecutor, and she plays someone using a fake name, Bridget, as a host on Renegade Broadcasting. And when I took over the network and basically, was getting, 5 to 10 times the amount of listeners that Kyle and Sinead were getting on their own network, and also pointing out that they weren't really up to snuff. This Mary Catherine Barton started taking over and doing all sorts of weird stuff. So you were on a network, a platform. I've made videos about Mary Catherine Barton and Kyle Hunt and Sinead McCarthy, and you just were unaware? Did you not know that Kyle and Sinead were FBI agents?
I don't know why we're getting off the topic of.
No, I asked you a question though. This is the complete topic.
I wasn't familiar with some female host with that name.
Using fake names. Yeah, Mary Catherine Barton.
Well, no, there weren't any female hosts at that time when I was on the station. There were not any female active hosts. So I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it was from.
You don't know what I'm talking about, huh? You said you heard of her, you're aware of her, but you don't know what I'm talking about. Mary Catherine Barton was an elected official.
Anyone named Barton who was on that station.
Right. She didn't use the name Barton. That's the point. That's the point. She didn't use the name Mary Catherine Barton. She used a fake name. And that's what I'm saying. Bridget. 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 Look it up, man. Bridget.
I don't even know if I saw Bridget. I don't remember seeing any Bridget. I saw, other than Sinead, I don't even remember seeing any female names that they still keep in their archives. Maybe she removed the archives before I got there, but I don't recall even seeing that person listed in the prior host archives.
Okay. Anyway, so it doesn't matter whether you recall it or not. It happened.
I'd like to hear your final thoughts, both Nicholas and Chris. And if there's any final constructive question on this actual topic, I'll hear from a question for the guests perhaps. But first, please, let's hear from our guests again. Who would like to go first?
Nicholas. Well, I'll go and I'll let Mr. Dorsey have the last word. I stand by my position, and we need a media bypass.
way that I'm aware of to do that. It's not social media, because the same people who control the Ustream media control the social. The only way we could do that, I believe, is through a federal campaign. It doesn't have to be president. Actually, I have a 3-year plan. But the running for president, I can't be sabotaged by the state Libertarian Party like I was in 2018. I could go to the convention, which is in Austin, Texas, in the last weekend of May. That's about 300 miles from me. And I could go to Austin, and I can try to get 30 tokens. You need 30 tokens in order to qualify to be on the ballot or when the delegates actually vote to nominate the Libertarian Party candidate for president. To have a separate ballot for vice president. I'll probably take a ballot for vice president before then, but it all starts with the campaign manager. As I said, I'm not an organizer. I've got some ideas on how to market this whole thing so we can get media bypass by actually using the media against itself in order to actually cover stories that they won't cover, but also whatever, militia groups who are out there, they can, let's say, a campaign ad on a 30-second spot on a station that carries Sean Hannity. Let's say it costs $100. Okay, and there's a militia out there that I agree with that wants to run an ad and recruiting. Well, they could pay the campaign $100 and get the ad, and we'll present it to that station. And if the station rejects it, then we have a lawyer all lined up. I mean, it's a network that's got to be in place. As I said, people who run, skeleton campaigns, that's useless. That's not going to do anything. So that's why I need an experienced campaign manager. If I can find one, if the good Lord wants to provide one, fantastic. If not, well, my will be done.
Well, I certainly admire your optimism and spirit regarding this approach. And although some may disagree with the approach, that's certainly their prerogative, but Godspeed to you. Now, Chris, absolutely, and I do appreciate your time here. We'll see if there's any questions after we hear from Chris, from any of the callers. Chris, and what would you like to add as, I guess, our final summation here tonight?
Well, there's nothing more to say. I wrote a book about the subject. I find it I'm not attempting to be adversarial. If this is adversarial, I don't appreciate being interviewed by interviewers about my book by someone who hasn't even read it, especially when basically the topics have been twice in a row about the militia, and I wrote an entire book, especially considering the interview was about the book. The first interview was about the book.
There are a lot of times where I don't have a chance to go over the material of someone I have on, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to have them on, try to research them as much as I can.
Right. I mean, Richard, come on. I mean, we're being serious here.
I haven't read it. I'm representing those listeners, and I'm asking questions to find out about something I might want to get into more and to read in the listener's point of view. That's actually very functional and very common for a host to do in interviews. It's not offensive. It's just that there's only so many hours.
No offense. No offense is taken. I don't take any of this stuff personally. This is all about.
I need to read your book, but I mean, since that was the main message and thing that you are trying to get people aware of, a lot of times I'll have that as the name of the show.
But yeah, it's not. It's not the main thing.
Time to go over that person's book or that person's films or whatever they might have as their media
So are you saying you prepare for less than an hour?
I think you're taking it the wrong way.
No. I'm taking it the right way. I'm taking it the right way.
Perhaps one of these callers seems a bit suspicious of many of us, but you seem
No,
to
I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious of all of you. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any need for that. I think
Why?
we can have a constructive
You're at least not doing a good job.
finger every 2 seconds.
No. I'm suspicious that there could be more.
I don't like to play dumb.
Yeah. Nobody's playing dumb around here.
Exactly. I agree. That's my attitude as well. I think it's pretty self-evident by the way I do things around here.
Is it? I disagree. I disagree 100%.
Disagree as well. Really?
Yeah.
What do you disagree with? I allow a lot of opinions my hosts have that I don't even agree with. But I know we can't
It's
agree on
you know,
everything. I'm not trying to-
allowing.
like you mentioned the previous platform where everyone had to believe everything those people believed or else they were out of there soon enough. My platform, I disagree with each and every one of my hosts about at least a couple of things, and it's free speech.
Hey, why don't you say the name Renegade Broadcasting, run by the FBI? You were on that.
I'm curious what issue you take, Chris, with the way I try to do things here.
I mean, haven't I been making that clear as we've been going along?
No, you haven't made clear what issue.
That I don't believe you're properly prepared to discuss the subject matter? I didn't make that clear? I just said that.
So because I didn't get a chance to read your book.
Articulate. Let me. Yes, Richard. The issue Chris is having, like the main issue, is that you tell him, and this is a sort of like shady thing. I mean, and it might just be like everyone's busy. I might give you the benefit of the doubt, but you say the show is to talk about his book.
No, I never said that.
You said that in the last show. You said that in the last show, certainly. I mean, we can prove it. We can verify that. Or you can deny it and then we can verify it, or you can say, yeah, the first show you said that you wished to discuss the Militia Handbook. Is that incorrect?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So why are you denying that?
You describe it for people. That doesn't mean that I necessarily got to read it from cover to cover.
You didn't read it at all.
Why you would take such offense to that?
Because when I don't take offense at that. You're using the word offense. I'm saying that I don't think you're doing a good job.
Like I say, if I'm trying to help everyone.
I mean, how many times are you going to repeat something that I said that's not the case?
If you're saying if I didn't have time to read it yet, I shouldn't try to help get your voice out there.
No. I'm saying if you're not going to read something I'm just saying you're not prepared enough, and that you're not well informed enough to discuss this subject matter.
I'm not trying to discuss. I've just been having each of you talk back and forth. I haven't really been giving my opinions at all. I'm just trying to be a moderator for.
I didn't say opinions. I said discuss. You are certainly discussing.
That's why you're a great moderator, Richard. You are a very good moderator. I wanted to compliment you.
Hey, there's a ringing endorsement, Richard. Knock yourself out with that one. I mean,
Can I jump in here? Really quick? I'm a car. Are you sure? I can't believe anyone wants to join this conversation at this point.
I mean, when you have me on, it probably gets 10 times the amount of viewers and listeners as any of your shows, Richard.
Hold on, Chris. I called into your show the first time you were on Richard.
Yeah, hey, man. Like, why don't you use your real voice, man? What's your name?
Johnny from Texas. Okay?
Johnny from Texas. Okay, Johnny from Texas. Is that your real name?
There's a lot of Johnnies in Texas.
Johnny. First name Johnny, middle name from, last name Texas. Okay, Mr. Texas.
Well, I just told you my last name.
What is it? What is it?
Let's just slow down a bit.
No, hey, look, man, you don't get to dictate. Hey, the host doesn't even get to dictate what I do. So you certainly don't. I'm the boss here. No, you don't say what the thing is. You don't say what the thing is. No ego. No. You're wrong.
bigger than your lips. Let's just put it that way. Your ego's bigger than your message. Let's just clarify.
No, well, that's what you say.
Why are you so interested?
Why are you afraid to say your name? Why are you afraid to identify yourself?
Hold on. You haven't let
No, hey, no, you don't tell me what to do. Absolutely not. Why don't you identify yourself?
me know right now.
Why don't you identify yourself?
That you were, I didn't know you were a militia.
Johnny, fools like yourself in this realm are as humorous as grains of sand.
Get behind me, devil. I know. I heard your words. You're a fucking
You beat me to it. Get thee behind me, Satan.
Right. So what's your name? What is your name and what do you do?
Who's your daddy and what does he do? My name is Johnny Surveillance from El Paso, Texas, the 6th Congressional District of El Paso, Texas.
Oh, so yeah, okay, let's talk about those fake shootings. Are you calling to talk about the El Paso fake shootings? Were you involved in that?
No. I'm talking about what's going on at the show at the final moment. I don't understand what seems to be the malfunction here.
There's no malfunction. What do you do? What do you do, man? What do you do? Who do you work for? Who do you work for, man?
There it is again.
Who do you work for, Johnny?
You know what? The police department is listening in on all of my calls. That could be it. I don't know.
I mean, only when you're at work. Only when you're working for them.
That's David Beltry.
Don't you, Alexander?
The fax machine seems to be coming from David Beltry by accident every once in a while. I just muted him again because of it. The fax has been coming from David the whole show. For any people suspicious of that being said, no, it's just David. My goodness.
Okay. Well, they still are, but that's okay. Thank you for telling me that.
Can I just put in a point of opinion? Dorsey, I actually respect your work. I called in.
Man, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting time. Stop wasting time.
This is a no jock riding zone, Johnny.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not.
Big ride Chris's jock. I'm not gonna tolerate that.
Yeah, we're not having any of this nonsense.
You say you're not gonna tolerate it. You are not part of the show.
Well, he's been around the station for the entire year I've had it, calling in.
So what? Yeah, so what, man?
When he wants, actually.
I mean, he can say what he wants, but I'm not gonna let him do it and not let him get called out. I'm gonna call
Absolutely. We're calling out every single thing, Richard.
You have to let him say it first. You can't cut him off.
You don't no. That's not how it works. He's doing it. He's doing it. So you don't have he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything.
You haven't even let him speak.
It doesn't matter. You're speaking the whole time. You're not saying anything. You're speaking. You,
This is Militia. This is what we do. Because this is what I even
Johnny sounds nothing like
I
Ryan
found out
Dawson.
what David from Louisiana was on. I even
This
called
is
him.
what someone who's listening to the show is telling me.
Okay, man. Can you let me speak to it? At least have some quorum
He
here.
sounds nothing like Ryan Dawson. They're not gonna let him speak.
Johnny, let's hear what you have to say. I just hope we have some quorum. Let me just say, Dorsey, I see what you're coming
No. Absolutely not. That's not. No. You address me properly. You can call me Chris. You can call me Mr. Dorsey, but you can't call me Dorsey. No.
Every time you try this, Charles, shut up. You're pathetic.
Yeah, you are pathetic, Charles. Yeah, why don't you guys identify yourselves?
Men, that's for you, men.
Alexander's a sweet lady, but you're not helping us at all. I'm sorry to say that. I love you. You're a very nice lady, but
Man,
saying some stuff that really doesn't fly. All we're doing is smearing you.
Well, can I ask a question?
Richard, hey, I don't want to address anybody else but Richard, but I do want to address Richard.
Johnny, they think you're Ryan.
I don't want to address anybody else but Richard, but I'm about to stop being nice to Richard. Richard, are you there?
Actually, you stopped being nice a long
When
time
have you
ago.
been nice? Yeah, really.
Yeah, you haven't been nice.
No. I'm telling you. If no, that's not even close to not being nice.
You don't even have.
I know you're a I'm a what?
How do you act like this from Louisiana? You talk about a big game, but you have no quorum. Let me just get to the case.
Decorum, you mean? Quorum? Man, you don't even know how to speak English. Let me address Richard. Hey, Richard, are you there? Why are you hiding, Richard? Richard, why are you hiding? Richard, why are you hiding? Richard, why are you hiding?
You talk a big game, but you ain't nothing. You got a big ego, sir. And then for you to call Richard
Thanks.
out and say that we're all psyotic, that's full of shit. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, Johnny, you're full of demons, man. It's very
Yeah, Richard, come on. Hey, why are you hiding, Richard?
Calm down.
Richard, why are you hiding?
Just bullshit. Because Richard, I think, Chris, who cares somebody wrote your book? Fuck off with your book, dude. Richard has
We're talking about the militia, not your stupid book.
No, but you're all on your high horse.
Now, actually, the point about that was...
Fuck off with
You're
that
not a
bullshit.
spokesperson for the
Read
book.
your book.
It's not.
Ridiculous, read your book. That's bullshit. Just David from Louisiana read your book. He may have. But
Who cares if you read the book?
if you already
Who cares?
your point if you have so much piss and vinegar, over here you're bashing the host that tries to keep you on and say, hey, let's
This is getting so tired. But what him is getting the right book anyway. You scored me.
Richard, you're a punk. Richard, you are a degenerate. Richard, you are a real piece of garbage.
How did I suddenly get demoted to degenerate, Chris?
You are because you are. Because you are. Hey, now, hey, Richard.
You come off on here? I mean, this is ridiculous. I put accuse people of the same things that you're doing. You both come off as divisive.
Oh, I'm divisive. Anyone who stands against the law, I'm against. Hey, anybody who stands against the law, I want to divide myself away from. Anybody who's a piece of trash, I don't want to have anything to do with, Richard.
Like you?
No, not you.
I wish to separate myself from all tools of state.
Yeah. So, Richard, where are you from? Where do you live? And what got you into doing this stuff? Because, like, the problem I have is not that you didn't read the book, is that you wanted to have a show about the book, and it's so easy to read, and you didn't even read it.
Interviewing you.
Well, then why did you mention the book? Why did you...
He doesn't understand that. IQ's too low.
The theme of your book.
Where do you live, Richard? Where do you live?
He doesn't even know how to recite his book. He talks about everybody reading his book, and he can't even recite his damn book.
Right. Yeah, he didn't write it.
Richard, I really don't want to address any of your little stooges. I'd like to address you.
Someone's book and make it the title to help promote whatever they have done.
Look, that's fine. You've said that over and over again. I'm just saying you're incompetent. I'm just saying that you're incompetent, Richard. Richard, I'm just saying that you're incompetent, and I want to find out why. I wish to find out why. Why are you incompetent?
Incompetent because I don't focus exclusively on militias and worshiping Chris Dorsey. Why I'm incompetent?
And that's how we know you're all government agents, because you make it about Chris. Chris doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about the issue. It's very simple. Because they're all pretty much the whole accused
I don't make
So, Richard,
You're probably the government agent.
who do you work for? Who do you work for? Man, Richard wasted my time.
Opportunity, Chris Dorsey.
You three are nothing but deep state tag team and psyop. That's all you are. I think I'll call somebody right now. You're very good at projection.
I've never heard of woman in my life. I don't see why you would think that.
Richard.
A lot of this is just
Richard.
accusing.
Please identify yourself. Please identify yourself. How did you end up on Renegade Broadcasting? How did you end up on Renegade Broadcasting?
It's called self-projection. Sure. It's called self-projection. That's what they're doing. That's what all they're doing. They're the psyops. They're self-projecting. They're full of shit, piss, and vinegar. I didn't read the book. I'm the bad guy. And a lot of tangents that are irrelevant. I want to talk about militias. And
Richard, I want to talk about who you are, buddy.
other topics got brought up.
Richard, who are you? Who are you?
Where this was going to be a debate. I thought it was an agreement. freeing conversation.
I thought it was
about
going to be a
militia.
friendly conversation, and that's
yeah,
what I went
It
into.
was awesome.
But they're doing that in a
I
civil
learned a lot from you guys.
Have you guys not noticed it's not me and Chris talking now, it's just all of you?
I'm just asking Richard to identify himself. I'm just asking for Richard to identify himself.
They're trying to talk us down. You're
Anyway,
not trying to have a dialogue.
Your objective
You're
is
trying to
anyway,
talk us down and obfuscate
I
and
tried to hear
misrepresent what we're
the
saying.
final thoughts. I already asked each of our
I think
guests
Chris has made
their
the
final thoughts.
Richard. I'm sorry.
Hey, Richard, can you please identify yourself? How did you get into this subject matter? Why did you contact me?
The only thing I'd like to ask is if you can mute everyone and let Nick just have 5 minutes.
If I'm ever muted, the show's done.
I know that he said what he wanted for his final thoughts, and perhaps he'd like to say something again to finish out the show.
Yeah, who are you, Richard? How did you get into this stuff? And like, can you identify yourself? Richard, can you identify yourself?
You're on, and I'm on.
Just you and I, everyone else in listening mode. Hey, no, you're right, Richard. I pretty much said what I needed to say. It's been my stand for this 2016, or actually after I got 23,613 votes, just by being on the ballot. And I said, next time I'll get a campaign manager, and this will be a serious effort. Again, it's just to mobilize the 15 million that I hope is out there into a movement to where we could show up armed at the state capitol if they try to do something. But I found it very curious that Chris says basically the government is. Not basically, he said the government's abolished itself, I guess. So the question remains, how do we, the people, organize ourselves to create the Articles of Confederation? As I stated, I believe that the federal campaign using a federal law in order to reach out to the 15 million to find them and tell them the truth about the income tax and the militia, immigration, the Khazars, etc. That would be fun. I think we could have a lot of fun, and I think we'd be effective. We'll see. As I said, if it happens, then Deo gratias, and if it does not happen, Deo gratias. As Job said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Praise be the name of the Lord.
And you would say that you've mentioned in the past, I mean, you're not saying that you're trying to create anything, it's already there. The constitutional militia is every able-bodied man. For someone to say that there's a leader, that's just creating a target. And that's generally how the establishment tries to stop any sort of patriotic resistance traditionally. So that is something that perhaps should be reiterated as well to people. You don't want any sort of organization where you have some sort of leaders and or any sort of private militia inside of this. You want to just understand it as everyone, but there can be just
you have
networking.
to have a chain of command.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to have a chain of command. But this
Okay.
is public militia. This is not private militia that can be infiltrated by FBI or informants, confidential informants, or agents of the deep state. That's why these private militias, because they want you to pick up arms, they want you to act. anybody can find him on YouTube. All of his videos on constitutional militia. He's also a money expert. I'm not really in agreement with the gold people, but in any case, I'm not. Got to be, because if you don't have that, you have no authority. Who's going to follow you?
Right.
If you have no authority, why should we the people follow you?
And you said something about the local sheriff. It's good to try to establish a relationship with local sheriff.
Yeah. Find out if your local sheriff is a company. Would obey the company. Or if, I don't know what that was all about. You there, Richard?
Yes. It seems like that was coming from Clifford. Clifford decided to.
That's not coming from Clifford, man. You've got everybody muted.
Clifford in California. Okay. Yeah, try to find out if your sheriff is going to obey the Constitution and enforce it, or is he going to just follow orders from the feds? And most of these sheriffs are already in the Fed pocket. They get a lot of equipment from the government, and so that equipment has strings attached. So it's to say God is going to have to be in charge of this effort, and any effort that leaves God out of the picture is.
Hey, Richard. Hey, I've got to butt in here. If anybody can hear me, am I on the line? Have I been muted?
Yeah.
You can hear me.
If you'd like to give another final statement.
I don't appreciate.
We'll take any more from the callers.
Well, that's fine, Richard. I don't appreciate getting muted. I hung up the phone and unmuted myself several times, and the only thing I can say as someone, Clifford was muted when you said that that there was some sort of music coming from him. All I can say is.
No, he wasn't. I kept trying to re-mute him, and it was definitely, I could see the voice pattern coming from his profile box. I could very much tell who it was coming from. It was him, and that's why I dropped him.
Why did you drop me then? Why did you drop me? Why did you drop me?
You seem to drop yourself.
No, I was muted. I was muted and called back, and then I got muted again. Why are you lying, man? Listen. Hey, listen to me. Listen to me, Richard. Listen. Stop talking over me. What I'm saying is, everything has all. I don't care. I don't care, man. Oh, man, you won't identify yourself. Who are you? Where do you live? What gives you any sort of authority? You, man, you.
Richard, why can't you control yourself right now?
Yeah.
Why can't you control yourself, Mr. Rat Boy?
Listen, man, you should watch your mouth. We can probably find out who you are.
I can control myself, but Richard has to keep muting me.
Yeah, okay. So, Richard, what got you into contacting public figures like myself and other people like Nicholas to go on and talk about these sort of things? How did you end up on Renegade Broadcasting? What got you into this? Where do you live? And what gives you any authority to speak? Comprehend.
I have been looking into a lot of these things ever since I read Behold a Pale Horse when I was a teenager.
Right.
I've seen about the lives of the pharmaceutical industry, of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, but who are you? Who are you? Who do you work for? And what is
some of the lives in
Where do you, what town do you live in? What state do you live in?
You're gonna let me answer? You just asked me.
Look, man, you should calm down when you're talking to somebody like me.
Well, then you need to stop it.
No, I don't need to do anything, man.
You interrupt.
I don't care. Because I have no respect for what you do. I have absolutely no respect for what you do.
I think that you don't have the volume up enough for your speakers, perhaps, Chris. Maybe it's not intentional, but you talk over people this entire show. You've been doing it, and
I know what I've been doing. I don't need.
They're talking. They can't hear the speaker cue. They don't even mean to interrupt.
It doesn't matter, Richard. You are somebody who's facilitating government agents if you're not one yourself.
Oh my God.
What do you do?
Because I happen to run into two platforms. The first one I decided to join, I was listening to a lot of different platforms, okay? I heard that
You're just listening to platforms and you decided that you were going to be a host?
his own thing. I tried to work with him, and after that, I went somewhere else looking for free speech that didn't work out too well.
You don't sound too sure about what it is that you're doing. You don't sound too sure about it. Like you're making it up as you go along.
A lot of people who used to be
Who are you? Is your name Richard Carey? And how come when I do a Google search for Richard Carey, I cannot find any information about you?
I don't know. Maybe there isn't much out there about me.
But then who are you? Explain yourself.
I'm not be able to find me exactly.
Right.
I don't know what you expect to find on me. But
Like
I'm glad
who you are?
people bothering me or anything anyway. Who you are?
Like your identity. Like what makes you you? What makes you legitimate and not a typical FBI provocateur?
Interact with you, thinking that you have been screwed over by a.
The best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. The devil even has to do good PR. It's very simple. Is that what you're doing?
And then you're accusing me of that.
That's what I'm asking you. We are out there in the public. You are unidentifiable.
I use my real name. How am I unidentifiable? Because what is the difference between you and I?
Put in your so-called real name.
Yeah, there's no information. Right.
It's not my fault. I mean,
It's not?
what I'm trying to do is encourage people to go and try to get me, or dox me or something.
No. Like putting out public information is not doxing.
Thought of that.
Putting out information is not doxing. It's letting people know who they're dealing with. It's simply about letting people know who they're dealing with. And nobody knows who they're dealing with you.
Well, I researched. I know a lot of people out here don't use their real name or their last name or some alias or.
Right, but you don't need to do that because you can use allegedly what your real name is and still nobody.
The promo art. I've been out there. People can even see what I look like if they do a search on YouTube, Truth Cat Radio, or Beyond the Matrix.
Ah, Truth Cat Radio, CIA agent Stephen D. Kelly. Oh, that was the other thing. Stephen D. Kelly, the CIA agent.
I'm not hiding anything.
CIA. Yeah, right?
Stephen was a former civilian contractor with them.
Whoa. Why do you need that caveat? He was a CIA agent. That's what he goes by on the media.
Because of disagreements that Stephen and he had, a few months later, I decided to leave. It just didn't seem right and I found this out at the next platform I was at, Renegade, that these people who have a station usually like their own dogma enforced. I'm trying to do something.
I'm talking about FBI and CIA agents. I'm not talking about dogma. I'm talking about FBI and CIA agents. I'm talking about FBI and CIA agents that you are associated with, that you don't call them out for it. Listen. You can call these guys out for being... Listen, Richard, you can call these guys out... Richard, you can call these guys out for being CIA...
So, yes, I was going to add the other thing that we do with militia is we have a lot Cox from Alaska for 7-8 years now.
Give me a break.
Gone back to prison in Indiana, Terre Haute, Indiana. He's taken back to Alaska to hopefully get a new hearing or something. I guess that was decided they were not going to do that, so he's back in Indiana. There's a lot of political prisoners like Schaefer Cox. Schaefer was an articulate young fellow, young Christian, and but he tried to go the kind of the private militia with the Alaska militia. I don't know what they called themselves, and he was set up by the FBI because if you're articulate and you start to become effective, they just do something like that. So now he's separated from his young family, and it's a shame, but how are you going to get these political prisoners along with our other enslaved American people? How are we going to free them from these money powers, the usurers? Well, it's going to be through legal, legislative militia, and we got to find the 15 million. Hopefully more. God could make it a lot more. So we need to get on our knees and repent of the sins of sodomy, usury, unjust wages from the poor. And once we get on our knees,
But Nicholas, you did all that. You did all that, Nicholas. You work for the Navy, correct? What's a more sodomist, usurious entity than the United States Navy?
The Navy and all the U.S. military is engaged in war against the people. We've covered this.
And they're again so again.
Is the fluoride rotting your brain?
Yeah. Why are you talking about dogma when it comes to Stephen D. Kelly and Kyle Hunt and Sinead McCarthy when you should be saying they're FBI agents and CIA agents? And even when pointed out that Stephen D. Kelly is a CIA agent, you say, oh, civilian contractor. Is that not a CIA agent?
No, it's not.
It's not?
He's someone who owned a laser company.
I know what his alleged backstory is.
State-of-the-art laser.
So now you're...
That's how he was affiliated with them when he was with that company. But I mean, he was just someone who owned a company.
A contractor. Right, okay. What's the word contract mean? What's the word contract mean?
That he's done since then, who's to say? We can't be sure.
I mean, he will...
Suspicious of the way things were run at the second platform I was on at Renegade Broadcasting there, and who can know for sure? I've seen websites that have profiled a lot of the connections to agencies or questionable things that some people have compiled.
Right, so either you're in on it or you're not smart enough to figure out what's going on, buddy.
My point is, Nicholas, I mentioned having someone who left my first platform shortly before I did, Truth Cat Radio, and that was Graham. That was Graham Sutherland. I was the first person who started on that station when Stephen decided to have his own station. I was pretty much the first host other than him who started doing shows. And my second guest, my first guest was someone I knew from the past, talk about philosophy and Gnosticism. My second guest was Graham.
I have an interesting question for Nicholas.
I found Graham and his Real Worldwide Truth Movement group on Facebook. He seemed like someone I could definitely appreciate what he would post, about a lot of the lives of the country out there. I found out he had done a radio show when he was younger in his college days as well. But after the interview on
We're talking about CIA and FBI agents. What are you blabbering on about, dude?
We got dismissed for having a different basis. I'm sorry, I'm talking.
Yeah, we hear you talking. You're talking about nothing.
Any of the deep underground military bases.
Yeah, I question that. The more that became an obsession, the more I questioned.
Look, hey, I'm getting the last word and then I'm hanging up the phone here. I'm getting ready to hang up the phone here. Like, you guys, I'm telling you, Nicholas, you're a nice, you're a more polite man than everyone else. Hey, I'm getting my last word in, then I'm hanging up, man, and then I'm done with you, except for to expose you. So
decided to speak his mind one day that Stephen didn't approve of, you know, and yeah, he just cut him off the air. I mean,
yeah, every time I've been on Truth Cat Radio, they've cut me off the air.
Not as good as Alexandra's, I hate to inform you.
So
within about a month of that, though, I had for well, the third of a few different issues on content and topics, guests, and I realized the environment